You know those moments when life calls you out gently at first, then louder until you can't pretend not to hear it? This is one of those days. And if you're a parent, you'll recognize the feeling. That split second when your child teaches you the thing you thought you were supposed to teach them. I'm Benjamin Cole. People hear Cole Capital and assume they already know me. Photos in magazines, the crisp navy suit, the quiet car, the way doors open before I even reach them. They forget, or maybe never knew, that I'm just a dad who packs a tiny pink lunchbox on Mondays and argues with a 5-year-old about whether socks are evil. Lucy says yes. Socks say nothing. I remain neutral. Today is enrollment day at Willowbrook Academy, the kind of school that smells like polished wood and generational wealth. The lobby is a cathedral of glass and light. There's a grand piano nobody's allowed to touch. Water flows from a stone wall into a koi pond as if luxury were a verb. The elevator doesn't ding, it whispers. And the parents, well, they know how to take up space. They know where to stand, which names to drop, how to say philanthropy like it's a family heirloom. I'm here early, holding Lucy's hand. She's small but decisive, a monarch in sneakers. She skips to keep pace with my longer stride and sings an off-key song about pancakes. She also carries a little plastic dinosaur, bright blue and weirdly muscular. She introduces him to people. This is Mr. Chomp. People nod as if they're negotiating a merger with Mr. Chomp. At the reception desk, a woman with a pearl pin and a balanced smile checks our names. Mr. Cole, welcome back. I've marked you for the executive tour with the board parent committee. The way she says board parent committee makes it sound like a chess move. Great, I say, because that's what people like me say. Lucy isn't listening. Her attention has been stolen by a person kneeling by the baseboards, a spray bottle holstered like a tool, and a handful of folded cloths tucked into a small caddy. The woman's hair is pulled into a practical bun. She's wearing a dark green work polo with the word facilities stitched over her heart, and she's humming. Soft, steady, not a performative hum, just enough to tell a child there's no hurry here. Hi, Lucy says, as if discovering a new planet. I like your shoes. The woman looks up. Her eyes are brown and present, the kind that actually see you. Thank you, she says, smiling. They help me run from spills. Sig, Lucy considers this. Do spills chase you? Only on Tuesdays. The woman winks. I'm Caroline. Lucy crouches next to her, hands on knees, businesslike. This is Mr. Chomp. He's 5. He doesn't like socks. Caroline nods solemnly. An independent thinker. I watch this exchange from 2 paces away. I feel the tug of war I've felt since Helen died, my wife, Lucy's mother, gone in a spring that came too early and left too fast. There's my instinct to steer every moment, to curate Lucy's world like a museum where nothing heavy can fall. And there's Lucy herself, stubbornly alive, attaching herself to people who aren't part of any plan I made. Lucy, I say softly, we're supposed to go upstairs. In a minute, she answers. Not rude, just convinced time will wait for her. Caroline glances up at me. There's no fluster, no scrambling apology, no look that says, oh, you're that Benjamin. There's just respect first for Lucy, then for the rhythm of work that doesn't need to draw attention to itself to matter. Open house day? Caroline says to me, reaching for a microfiber cloth. Enrollment and tours, I tell her. Lots of handshakes, lots of information I'll pretend not to already know. Let me guess, she says, eyes friendly. Snacks on the 3rd floor. Coffee that tastes like ambition. Burnt ambition, I say. She laughs. Lucy laughs because Caroline laughs. It echoes up into the glass. And then there's movement like weather in the lobby, the arrival of people who make spaces bend toward them. A mother in a cream pantsuit, red nails shaped like decisions, glides over to the reception desk. She kisses the air on both sides of the receptionist's face and mentions a weekend in Lake Como the way you'd mention stopping for gas. A father with high-performance sneakers and a watch that announces he loves data more than sleep, checks his phone, barks into it, then glances around to confirm we've all witnessed his bark. Mr. Cole, the receptionist calls. The committee is ready for you. We head to the elevator bank. Lucy looks over her shoulder. Caroline has moved on to the opposite baseboard, humming the same practical tune. My hand tightens around Lucy's. I promise myself there will be time for everything, the tour, the snacks, the onboarding packet that smells like rules. It's what I do. I put things in order. I build structures that hold, I name them after values. But structures don't hold children. People do. And children are unreasonable about who they choose. Upstairs, a parent volunteer with a laminated badge reads from a script that must have been edited by a committee of perfection. At Willowbrook, we view education as a partnership among school, family, and community. We nurture the whole child through a holistic approach centered on excellence, integrity, and service. She smiles like a punctuation mark. We're excited to learn your family's niche, what drives your curiosity. I nod. Lucy squints. What's a niche? Great question, the volunteer says brightly. It's like your special focus, your personal North Star. Lucy, who currently believes her North Star is a blue dinosaur with very defined deltoids, looks unconvinced. We see classrooms that look like startups with better art. We pass a science lab where a teacher is arranging beakers like a museum of bubbles. We peek into a library with a reading nook that could cradle a small nation. Everything gleams without trying too hard. The school is designed to whisper, "You are safe, you are chosen, you belong." And then, in the sunlit hallway outside the music room, it happens. A child trips over a loose shoelace, no socks, I think, and looks down at Lucy in quiet solidarity and spills a full cup of juice. It arcs, it lands, it spreads, a sunrise of sticky yellow across the polished floor. The parent volunteer freezes, not in horror, just in optics. "No worries," she says, fluting the words. "Facilities will take care of that." Within seconds, Caroline appears like she'd been listening to the floor. She kneels, not just in front of the spill but in front of the child, and puts a hand on the child's shoulder. "You okay?" she asks, making eye contact before she touches a single paper towel. "Big splashes happen. We'll fix it. You're not in trouble." "Toe." The child nods, lower lip trembling, and mirrors Caroline's slow breathing. Caroline hands the child a towel, then starts at the edge, drawing the spill inward, gentle, firm, efficient. Her movements say, "Messes are part of the day. Dignity is not at risk here." Across the hall, the mother in the cream pantsuit watches with a face that can't decide if it's disgust or pity. "Honestly," she murmurs to the father with the watch, "they should reroute these kids during tours." "Optics," he agrees, as if it's a word one might use to season soup. Lucy lets go of my hand. She walks straight into the radius of Caroline's work and crouches at her side. "It's okay," she tells the juice child. "Happens on Tuesdays." Caroline looks at Lucy, surprised into a wider smile. "My Tuesdays are getting famous." "You're fast," Lucy says, watching how Caroline contains the spill. "You don't even look mad." "Why would I be mad?" Caroline asks. Not rhetorical. "Spills are just juice getting adventurous." "That's silly," Lucy says. "I like it." "Me too," Caroline says. "Keeps life interesting." In the quiet that follows, I feel something rearrange itself in me like furniture moving a few inches in the night. I don't have a word for it yet. It's small and undeniable, like the first drop before rain. We finish the tour. The parent committee invites us to a lounge with fruit that tastes more expensive than fruit. Another mother leans over and tells me about her son's Mandarin tutor and the benefits of cello for neuroplasticity. She asks, "Is Lucy doing fencing yet?" As if fencing is a developmental stage like losing your first tooth. When I say no, she looks apologetic for me. "What does your daughter respond to?" she asks, swiveling her gaze toward Lucy like a ring light. "Kindness," I say, before I can say something strategic. She tilts her head like the word is a little out of season. "Of course," she says. "And extracurriculars." Lucy returns from a corner table with a napkin in her hand like a secret. "Daddy?" she whispers confidentially. Caroline says she knows where the fish sleep when they're tired. "The koi fish?" "Yes. They go under the bridge because it's a quiet place." She pauses. I like quiet places. I look at her, this person who looks like Helen around the eyes and like herself everywhere else. I look at the mothers, the fathers, the volunteer with her curated sincerity. I feel my old job rise up, the one where I manage perceptions as easily as numbers, and I push it down. The committee chair, a man with confidently grey hair, claps to gather us. "If I can have everyone's attention," he begins, "I want to welcome our new families, and especially those who understand the responsibility of leadership in communities like ours." His eyes find mine and linger. "Mr. Cole, we're thrilled to have you." There's polite applause, A few people do the idiotic thing where they clap harder because money is nearby. I nod. I have spent years perfecting the nod that says thank you without promising anything. And then, because the universe is a terrific writer, someone opens a door too fast and a stack of pamphlets sails off a cart, fluttering into the koi pond like paper birds tired of being serious. The room ripples into consternation. Not because it's a real problem, because it's an opportunity for theatre. Facilities, the chair says, into a small lapel mic, the word clipped. We need an immediate response in the West Lounge. Caroline appears again, moving like she knows exactly what matters and how to touch it. She kneels by the water, assesses, then glances up at the chair. We don't want to stress the fish, she says calmly. Give me a moment. The chair frowns. We're on a schedule. We'll keep the schedule, Caroline answers, and her voice remains soft, but there's a backbone inside it. We'll also keep the fish from eating paper. A murmur ripples through the crowd, some amusement, a few eye rolls. The mother in cream looks like she's allergic to practicality. Lucy edges closer to Caroline again, as if her body knows where the gravity is. She stands on her tiptoes, watching Caroline angle a small net, wait for the koi to drift, then ease the pamphlets toward the edge. It's not fast. It's not slow. It's exact. The chair checks his watch. Can we move the group to the East Lounge? He asks the volunteer. Or, I say, surprising myself with the sound of my own voice in a room I normally float above. We could watch someone do her job well for 20 seconds. Eyes shift. Not all of them friendly. I'm not trying to start anything, but the sentence had been sitting in my chest and wanted to live. Caroline doesn't look at me. She's indexing the world in front of her. Angles, reflections, dangers disguised as quiet. She gets the last of the pamphlets to the lip, gathers them, and then, with a final sweep, settles the surface of the water like a parent smoothing a child's hair. There, she says, back to their stories. Lucy exhales as if she'd been underwater too. She hands Caroline a napkin like it's a victory flag. Caroline smiles her thank you. The chair clears his throat into the mic and launches into a speech about excellence. Halfway through his second paragraph about excellence, Lucy tugs my sleeve. Daddy? He left of life to the chown. Yes. Can Caroline come to our house? I glance down. I am a man who signs 7-figure contracts between subway stops. I cannot answer this one cleanly. For dinner, Lucy clarifies, as if I had not understood the simplicity of her terms. We don't have koi fish, but we have pancakes. And, Mr. Chomp, I look up. Caroline has already moved on to a different corner of the lounge, returning a stubborn chair to its place, picking up a crumpled straw wrapper, unworried about whether anyone notices her competence. It takes me a full beat to understand that my daughter's question is not chaos, it's a compass. Maybe, I say slowly, because I'm still the person who grew up learning that every invitation has optics. We'd have to ask. Lucy leans closer, her breath warm against my suit. Mommy would like her. I swallow. The room is suddenly too bright. Somewhere in the light, a piano remembers a song it used to play. After the speeches, we drift back toward the elevator. Parents orbit. A few try to exchange numbers with me before they remember I rarely take numbers I didn't ask for. I catch a glimpse of Caroline in the reflection of a glass wall, adjusting a small framed photo that had tilted sideways. It's a picture of a group of second graders in absurd hats, mid-laughter. She centers it. The hallway seems to agree with her touch. Excuse me, the mother in cream says, intercepting me with a practiced smile. I'm Vivienne Hart. We should put together a small dinner families who lead from the front. It would be meaningful for Lucy to see what's possible. For what's possible, I say, is her favorite word. How wonderful, she says, and I can't tell if she heard me or heard a pledge drive. We'll have our assistant coordinate. I nod, non-committal. Lucy leans around me like a small moon searching for a planet. Where's Caroline? Vivienne blinks. Who? The janitor, Lucy says simply. My friend. Vivienne's smile wobbles. Oh, sweetheart. The staff prefer facilities. His fans are watching 200, and in my 200, an attended was not with how store and 19 forget. Lucy nods as if learning a new magic word. Okay. Caroline in facilities. Vivienne regains her balance. We'll talk soon, Mr. Cole. She glides away, leaving a faint scent of citrus and impatience. We're 2 steps from the elevator when a small hand reaches toward Caroline's caddy from behind a column, one of those invisible moments that usually pass like a missed heartbeat. A boy, maybe 6, curious and bored, is about to take the spray bottle because it looks like power. Caroline turns just in time, not scolding, just redirecting. "Hey, buddy, that one's mine. But here, you can be in charge of the cloths." She hands him a folded square like a passport. "Very important job." He beams. "Okay." The boy's father calls him back, annoyed, and Caroline's face does this thing that breaks me a little. She watches the boy go and then puts the cloth back where it belongs. Not offended, not clingy, just quietly done. Like 100 other kindnesses that live and die in minutes, leaving no audience and changing everything anyway. In the elevator, Lucy leans her head against my arm. "Daddy, can we invite Caroline tonight?" "Tonight?" My calendar makes a sound only I can hear, 1,000 commitments shifting their weight. "Yes, Pancakes, please." She looks up, and there is something in her face that resembles Helen when she used to implore me to leave the office, before the sun forgot us. "It's Tuesday." I almost laugh. "Of course it is." "Let me think about how to ask," I say. "We don't have her number." "We can ask now," Lucy says, as if this were the simplest puzzle in the world. Maybe it is. Maybe everything that looked complicated is really just fear. We go back down. The lobby has emptied a little, like a performance finally exhaling. Caroline is near the entrance, packing her caddy with the fast ceremony of someone heading to the next task. I walk toward her before I can talk myself into a smaller version of the father I want to be. "Caroline," I say, and I try to make my voice match the respect I saw in her hands. "Do you have a minute?" She looks up, surprised, cautious but not closed. "Of course." "I'm Benjamin," I say, though of course she knows. "And this is Lucy," Caroline finishes, the smile blooming. "And Mr. Chomp." Lucy shuffles forward, suddenly shy in the way kids get when the stakes are real. "Hi." "Hi," Caroline says gently. I glance at the caddy, then back at her. "You saved some fish from a paper diet. Team effort," she says. "Your daughter's napkin was crucial." He heavily did 10 years of the comment. There's a brief silence, not awkward, just delicate. This is the place where a different version of me would make a joke and retreat. Instead, I decide to say the thing I mean. "Lucy was wondering," I begin, "if you might like to come to dinner. No pressure. We make pancakes on Tuesdays." I realize this is unusual. Caroline studies me, then Lucy, then the notion of time itself. She doesn't reach for an apology to soften the moment. She doesn't pretend she's invisible. She just considers whether she is wanted for the right reasons. "I appreciate the invitation," she says finally. "I work until 5. She glances at Lucy. "Is Mr. Chomp available after 5? Can din expect a day win the 24th and can din expect to the naughty?" Lucy nods so hard the dinosaur wobbles. "He lives with us." Caroline smiles. "Then pancakes sound perfect." I feel something in my chest uncoil. Relief is too small a word. It's more like permission. "Great," I say, and I take out my phone, an expensive rectangle that has never once helped me be brave and open a new contact. "May I get your number?" I add, then hear myself and correct it. "And I should give you mine, in case plans change." She tells me her number. I tell her mine. The exchange is ordinary and enormous. I type Caroline, Willowbrook Facilities, and then delete the dash. Just Caroline. It feels right. We settle on 7 o'clock. I promise pancakes and strawberries. Lucy promises to show her the quiet place under our dining table where socks go to think about their life choices. Caroline nods solemnly, as if entrusted with national secrets. When we walk back to the car, the afternoon is full of that good kind of busy kids tugging parents, parents tugging time. The sky is the precise blue of Helen's favorite dress. I open the back door. Lucy climbs in, buckles her seatbelt, then leans forward between the front seats, eyes bright. "Daddy?" "Yes." "Are we going to be nice to Caroline in front of everyone?" I blink. "Of course." Lucy nods, satisfied. "Good. Because Miss Vivienne didn't say hi to her. She looked like she didn't see her even though she was right there." I start the car. The engine hums. Somewhere deep in my bones, a decision clicks into place, a hinge you don't notice until the door swings differently. "We'll be nice to her," I say, in front of everyone. I look at Lucy in the rearview mirror, and especially when no one's watching. Lucy smiles, big and private. That's the best kind. On the drive home, the city moves like a living organism, windows opening, a dog dragging a human toward a scent, a cyclist negotiating with a pothole. I mentally inventory the kitchen. We have flour, eggs, milk. Strawberries might be low. Syrup is emotional currency. We'll need more. I'll call Mrs. Alvarez downstairs. She makes a cinnamon butter that could fix the economy. At a red light, I catch myself humming the same practical tune Caroline hummed while polishing the baseboard. It doesn't sound like ambition. It sounds like a person who's decided that excellence includes how you treat a spill. Back at the apartment, I loosen my tie and hang it over the chair that has always felt like it's waiting for someone. Lucy pulls out her art kit and announces she will make a "Welcome to our pancake house" sign. She writes Caroline in careful block letters and adds a fish with a speech bubble that says, "No paper, please." I can't help it, I laugh. Then I stop laughing because my eyes are full of heat. I turn away toward the fridge and realize I'm holding the door open without looking inside, the way people do when they're checking if they're hungry for food or something else. "Daddy?" Lucy says, without looking up, her crayon moving confidently across the page. "Yes, Lou. Do you think Mummy can see us?" I close the fridge. "I hope so. Do you think she's happy?" I swallow. My voice takes a moment to arrive. "I think she'd be very proud of you." "Of me?" "Of you." I take a breath. "And maybe a little of me too if I do this right." "What is this?" "Listening to you," I say. "And to the right kind of people. By the potted alike to the reasoned." Lucy nods like she's issuing a formal decree. The sign gets a border of tiny pancakes. Mr. Chomp acquires a chef's hat. It is, objectively, perfect. At 6:30, I text Caroline our address and tell her to take her time. At 6:45, I set the table with Lucy's help. She insists on placing a glass pebble next to each plate for luck. I don't know if that's a thing, but it is now. At 6:58, the doorbell rings. My heart does the small panic tap of a man who has negotiated 9 countries for a merger, but is nervous about syrup viscosity in front of someone who respects fish. Lucy bolts to the door. "Caroline," I follow, slower, realizing this is the first guest we've had who doesn't feel like a performance. When I open the door, Caroline is standing there with a small paper bag and the same present eyes. She's changed out of the polo into a soft sweater the color of early tea. She looks exactly like herself. It's a relief. "Hi," she says. "I brought something." She holds up the bag. "Berries from the corner market. And this is silly, a tiny jar of honey my neighbor swears will change your life." "We accept life-changing honey," I say. "And berries." Lucy takes the bag like it's ceremonial. "We have pancakes," she informs Caroline. "And a sign. The mentor question with a go and with an inter to do are the 7. The covenant to the grace." Caroline steps inside, sees the sign on the table, and puts her hand to her chest. She reads it like it's a letter she needed. "I love this," she says, "and I promise not to feed any paper to fish." We laugh. I feel the apartment exhale. There are smells that make a place a home. Butter warming, cinnamon waking up, strawberries surrendering to sugar, and there are sounds. A child narrating, an adult listening, silence that's friendly. In the kitchen, I pour the first round of batter. The pan hisses. Lucy announces each bubble like it's news we can use. Caroline stands at the counter, rinsing the berries with a care that feels like prayer. "So," she says, not filling space, just opening it. "Do you two do this every Tuesday?" "Most," I say. "We try not to negotiate with Tuesdays." She smiles sideways. "Wise. Tuesdays are stubborn." "Like Mr. Chomp," Lucy says. "Like Mr. Chomp," Caroline echoes. "We sit. We eat." The honey does, in fact, change at least the mood. The conversation is plain and warm. Favorite breakfasts, the best way to fix a wobbly table, how sometimes you find the quiet place under the bridge when the day is too loud. Caroline talks about her route at the school, the hallways that smell like crayons after art class, the gym that remembers sneakers, the music room where the piano gathers the echoes. She doesn't complain about anything, which is not the same as pretending everything is fine. She's just accurate. At some point, Lucy leans her elbow into the sticky map of her plate and asks, very seriously, "Caroline, do spills chase you on Wednesdays too?" Caroline considers. "They try. But I'm faster on Wednesdays." Lucy grins, satisfied. After dinner, we carry plates to the sink in that clumsy ballet of 2 adults and a child who insists on helping. Caroline reaches for a towel, uninvited, but in a way that knows the difference between helping and taking over. We move in easy, small collisions. I catch myself wanting to apologize for the apartment not being a museum. Then I stop. It's good that it isn't. When the dishes are done and the sign has been assigned a permanent place of honor on the fridge, Caroline steps into the doorway like a person who understands boundaries without making them prisons. "Thank you," she says. She doesn't search for a fancier word. "Good. Can you come again?" Lucy asks, hopeful, but also as if this were a contract to be negotiated with dessert. "If your dad says yes," Caroline answers, glancing at me, not because she needs my permission to exist, but because she understands the shape of families. "Yes," I say, before the version of me who delays things wakes up. "Please," Caroline nods. "Then yes, to engraded my fief, find the loun 40, sudest, and find it like to, and fasture, sudest in receive, to find the loun 40s, find the loun the loun, and it noted, to infy the loun 40s, and faster loun the loun 40s. At the door, as she slips on her shoes, she looks at me with a calm that has no agenda. "For what it's worth," she says quietly, "you're doing right by her." I fail to be clever. "I hope so." "You are," she says, simple as a door clicking into its frame. After she leaves, Lucy turns the deadbolt with ceremony, then presses her forehead to the cool wood like she's telling the door a secret. "Daddy?" "Yes. I think Caroline is my friend," she says. "I think so too, and I think she's your friend." I look at the empty hallway, the quiet elevator beyond it, the life that has begun moving a few inches in the night. "I hope so," I say again, and it doesn't sound like fear this time. It sounds like a promise I am ready to keep. Later, after a bath that involves a negotiation with Bubbles and a lecture from Mr. Chomp about bedtime, Lucy falls asleep, holding a small washcloth she insisted was Caroline's. I stand in the doorway and watch her breathing draw straight lines through the dark. I think of the koi under the bridge, safe, undisturbed. I think of a school that knows how to polish wood and polish reputations. I think of a woman who kneels for the right reasons. At my desk, I open my laptop. An email blinks from the parent committee about a leadership family's supper. A phone notification glows with a donation request. Another with a press inquiry about a fund I started because, at some point, in public, you need to be seen doing good. I close the laptop. In the quiet, my phone lights with a single message from Caroline. "Thank you for dinner. Tell Lucy I'm faster than spills on Wednesdays." I smile, and for once in a long while, the future doesn't feel like a calendar. It feels like a table, set for 3. And in case you're wondering, yes, this is the part where the story gets complicated, where people who love the shape of power notice a change in the furniture and come to push it back, where my daughter chooses a person the room wasn't designed to honor, where I have to decide whether the nod I perfected is still good enough. But for tonight, there is syrup drying on the table, and a sign on the fridge, and a song that sounds like a person polishing a baseboard without needing applause. Next Tuesday, we'll make pancakes again, and someone who hums while she works will take a seat at our table. Morning at Willowbrook sounds like a polite orchestra, warming up doors, sighing, shoes whispering over polished floors, adults saying each other's names like passwords. Lucy and I step into the lobby, and the koi do their lazy parade under the bridge, as if last night's pancakes had drifted into this day and decided to swim. "Daddy, does Tuesday start on Wednesday if you sleep late?" Lucy asks, serious. "Tempting," I say, steering us toward the coffee that tastes like ambition left too long on heat. But Wednesday insists on being itself. By the lockers, Vivienne Hart is already curating a small audience. She spots me with the accuracy of a hawk that reads, "Donor reports." "Benjamin," she trills, "we're hosting a STEM and cello salon this Saturday. Brilliant mix. Mandarin Corner at 2, then a performance by a Juilliard freshman. Phenomenal neuroplasticity benefits at this age." She lowers her voice. "It would be meaningful for Lucy to see what's possible." Lucy peeks from behind my hip. "Will Caroline be there?" "There is no life to the tension Vance, and the tension Vasmond, and the bisted deciden vases. The Raston Vand." The life to the tension, the resonant varies, and I the nope. The smile on Vivienne's face pauses, like a song skipping half a beat. Caroline, in facilities? Yes, Lucy says plainly. My friend. Ah, Vivienne replies, smoothing air that didn't need smoothing. How sweet. We'll see. Then she pivots toward a father whose shoes cost more than a small vacation. Graham, we were just talking about cello. Caroline rolls by with her cart at that exact moment, timing that feels cosmic, or just well-earned. Morning, she says, nodding at us and the world. Mind your step, fresh wax. Brave socks welcome. Lucy brightens. Mr. Chomp likes danger. Caroline flashes that quick grin. Danger should try Wednesdays. I'm faster. And the civilize the cease. She's gone before the moment can turn into a performance, but the floor feels steadier after her. I hand Lucy off to her classroom and wander toward the koi, where a younger facilities staffer is whispering to Caroline with the anxiety of someone whose job depends on what rooms choose to see. The chair said your timing yesterday disrupted flow, he mutters. Maybe hang back during program moments? Caroline's expression doesn't harden. It roots. Fish don't care about flow charts, she says softly. They care about paper. I should mind my business. I should step into the safe neutrality I've curated like a custom suit. Instead, I hear my own voice enter the space and pick a side. For the record, I say to the staffer and to any ears that want to collect context, her timing protected the school better than any speech I heard. The staffer blinks. Relief loosens his shoulders in increments. Caroline gives me a small nod, not grateful in the transactional sense, grateful the room recalibrated 2 degrees toward accurate. On my way out, I do the thing Helen used to tease me for. I check the frames on the hallway wall. One is crooked. I straighten it. It's not about frames. It never was. That night, Lucy draws on the kitchen calendar with the gravitas of a city planner. Over Tuesday, she prints Pancake Club. Below it, 3 stick figures and a dinosaur. Then, in careful letters that make my chest tighten, be kind in public. Do we need one more rule? She asks, tongue between her teeth as she sketches syrup that looks like a treasure map. What's the rule? Be kind in when nobody is looking. In private? She nods vigorously. I watch her write it under the first, like a promise doubled for good measure. Friday brings the book fair, which smells like fresh paper and possibility. Caroline tips her chin at us as she wheels a bin of folding chairs along the gym wall. The librarian launches a story circle. Kids gather like magnets. Parents orbit and pretend they're not auditioning for each other. Mid-story, the old custodian closet door sticks. Caroline braces her hip, shoulders the frame, wins a quiet fight with stubborn paint, and a tower of chairs wobbles. A mother in a cream blazer inhales like someone punctured a soufflé. Honestly, couldn't this be handled off hours? Caroline absorbs the moment, tightens the strap, steadies the stack. All handled, she says, voice calm, eyes scanning for little faces. Sorry for the noise. The mother harvests the room for agreement with a well-practiced glance. It starts to tilt her way. Lucy squeezes my hand, a quiet tug on a cord she tied around my courage Tuesday night. Daddy, be nice in front of everyone. He stayed to the 7-2 munting strided. That's Siva. The tenton, in the grieve. Thanks, Caroline. I say, not loud, just clear. You probably saved someone a bruise. A teacher nods. A couple of kids clap because honesty feels like a game they want to win. The tilt eases back to level. The mother's mouth tightens by 2 millimeters, which is how small corrections often look on people who prefer perfection to people. On the way out, Vivienne finds me again, all grace and recalculation. We adore hands-on leadership, Benjamin, she says, like we're talking about yacht rigging. Perhaps channel it into the gala keynote next month? Optics matter. Optics matter most, I answer. When they reveal what's there, not hide it. She smiles like I've told a charming myth. We'll circle back. After school, Lucy tucks a paper fish into Caroline's cart. For your break, she announces. It doesn't eat paper. Note, Caroline laughs, warm as a small lamp. Best kind. That night at home, the calendar looks like a manifesto drawn in crayon. Tuesday is circled twice. There's a question mark over Thursday. I pour pancake batter into a bowl just to see if my hands remember Friday can borrow a little Tuesday. The kitchen smells like flour, like cinnamon, like a future that is choosing to be smaller and kinder and more precise. And if you're keeping score, yes, I text Caroline about the book fair story circle. Good call, I write. We like the river book, she replies, with a photo of the koi sign she's tucked in her cart. Please, no paper in the pond. Under it, in a kid's hand, fish don't eat stories. Yours? I ask. Community effort, she sends back. The best kind. Rain arrives with the sort of resolve city weather gets when it's tired of being decorative. Mid-morning, Willowbrook becomes a choreography of umbrellas and hurried plans. The maintenance radio crackles somewhere behind the office door, the lobby mats drink their fill. Every adult pretends not to mind damp hems. I've just dropped Lucy at art when a 5th grade teacher flags me down. Mr. Cole, quick, hello, your donation last quarter helped us get the kiln. Before I can answer, a metallic thunk echoes from the stairwell. Someone says, shoot, in a voice that wants to be quieter. I follow the sound with that parental radar you don't need biology to acquire. On the second-floor landing, a recycle bin has surrendered tipped on its side, paper fanning like gulls. A middle schooler stands mortified, foot still tangled in the bin's lip. Caroline kneels beside him already, calm shifting into gear. You okay? She asks first, steadying the kid before she touches the mess. He nods, face pink, and lifts his foot free. Happens on Wednesdays, she says. Sometimes to bins with big feelings. The kid's laugh leaks out, small and life-saving. Caroline passes him a stack of intact sheets. Want to help? He nods again, grateful to become a person who fixes. At the top of the stairs, Vivienne appears, backlit by the glow of being in the right place to manage a scene. Everything under control? She asks the air, which is not really a question. Under control, Caroline answers, not defensive, not deferential, just true. Vivienne's gaze lands on the spreads of damp paper and the boy kneeling to gather them. During peak transitions, she says, let's try to route this kind of clean up off main thoroughfares. Optics. The last word drops like a paperweight. The kid's hands go still. The apology rises in his face. I take a step onto the landing. Optics look like people helping people. I say, not loud, just placed. He tripped. She showed him how to recover. It's good for the school to see that. Vivienne's smile is flawless, like retail glass. Of course, she replies, and the of course suggests I'm charmingly naive about the delicate economy of appearances. Always a pleasure to have engaged parents. She moves on, her umbrella crisp as an exit line. Caroline glances up at me only long enough to mark the coordinates. Then she's back to the work edge, to center, gather, compress, restore. The boy mirrors her rhythm, cheeks less pink now. Thank you, he murmurs. Nothing broke, she says, which is a win. I carry a stack of renegade paper to the bin and feel ridiculous for how much better it makes me feel. On the way down the stairs, a father with the watch that worships data watches me and looks faintly confused, like he's trying to place my niche in the taxonomy of useful men. At lunch, the gym converts to indoor recess, echoing basketballs, cardboard chessboards, corners of quiet. Lucy and I share a table with a small carton of milk and a sandwich that has opinions about triangles. Caroline lopes through the space with her cart, making sure the floor remembers it's a floor, not a slip suggestion. A 3rd grader spills milk arcs, gravity signs the contract, and the usual micro-theater starts. Kid freezes. Friends widen eyes. A nearby adult does the inhale of performative concern. Caroline arrives with the same muscle memory of dignity. You okay? Eye contact. Breath. Towel. Big splashes happen. Let's rescue your lunch. Facilities should maybe do this during breaks. Someone mutters behind us, as if milk obeys bells. Lucy turns. It is a break, she says gravely, because she is 5 and literal and correct. The mutterer blinks, recalibrates, decides to find coffee. I open my mouth. Close it. Open it again. Thanks, Caroline. I say so the gym can hear it and treat it as normal. The PE teacher lifts 2 fingers in salute. The 3rd grader grins like a crisis ended and a story began. Caroline slides the cart on, unbothered by whether anyone writes her name on a program. Outside, the rain graduates to sideways. Dismissal becomes an amphibious operation. Teachers stage families under the bus canopy. Kids in bright jackets look like highlighters that escaped. I stand a few yards back, umbrella up, scanning for Lucy's ponytail and Mr. Chomp's weather miscalculation. Water, being water, tests the roofline. A gutter hiccups. A thin sheet spills off the awning's corner like a curtain pulled the wrong way. Voices do the small panic. Who? How? Now. Caroline is already there with a step ladder, a wrench, an economy of motion that remembers nobody needs heroics if you fix the right bolt. A parent in a suit holds his briefcase like a talisman. Could we not, he waves vaguely at ladder and wrench, do spectacle at pickup? Caroline tightens, checks, angles the gutter back into obedience. We'll choose dry over dignified, if it's all the same, she says. And the sentence is so gently final the rain seems to agree. I hear my voice again, out in the open. Thank you, I call. And yes, the room that is not a room this curb and canopy and rivering street hears it. Lucy barrels into me 2 minutes later. She's damp, delighted, and armed with a paper cup of hot chocolate from a PTA table that could fund a small nation. Caroline fixed the sky, she announces. She had help, Caroline says, stepping off the ladder. Gravity cooperated. She's faster than spills on Wednesdays, Lucy tells anyone within range who has not been properly briefed. Then, to Caroline, see you Tuesday? Caroline's smile softens. Wouldn't miss it. That evening, as city lights do their after-rain shimmer, we spread towels in the kitchen like we're building a tiny beach. Lucy creates a Pancake Club Rain Edition sign and adds an umbrella to the dinosaur. I dice strawberries I didn't plan to buy. I do not check email. The kitchen is where things that matter ask to be witnessed. My phone hums, a message from the parent committee. Gala next month, black tie, legacy in action. Another from Vivienne's assistant with a calendar link and the words quick, connect, tone, collaborative. A third from Caroline, heads up book fair restock tomorrow, story circles moving to the reading loft, lower risk of renegade chairs. What's renegade? Lucy asks, chin on my shoulder reading. Brave, I say, or bored, or both. As why be a Cairns life, she nods like, these are reasonable options for chairs. We spend the rest of the evening doing the slow things that look like nothing and build a life, matching socks that don't want to be matched, assigning a permanent place for the sign on the fridge, telling the kind of jokes that collapse into giggles before their middles. At bedtime, Lucy asks if the fish sleep under bridges when it rains. I think they like it there most, I say. She approves this answer and is asleep before the rain remembers it's on. Later, when the apartment is all lamp glow and low hum, I find myself rewiring habits. The email I would have answered fast can wait. The headline I would have chased can pass. I draft a reply to the gala coordinator and delete the part where I offer to keep my remarks brief and buoyant. If I'm going to say something in a room that cares about hearing itself, it should be something you can stand on. Before I turn out the light, I text Caroline one more line. If you ever need us to stand in front of you while you do your job, we will. 3 dots pause, appear, vanish. Then, if we do it right, she sends, you'll be next to me, not in front. I put the phone face down and let the room go quiet around that. Somewhere inside the old frame of my life, a new hinge keeps settling. Not dramatic, not noisy, just true. And if you're waiting for the big public moment, the part where a microphone gets involved and a room decides what kind of room it wants to be, that's coming. Power always tests new hinges. For now, it's enough to know this. The small public things add up. A spill, a ladder, a sentence said at the right volume, a child who insists Tuesday's rules apply midweek. These are the proofs that bend a map. These are the reasons I find flour in my hair and don't mind. Because yes, next Tuesday we'll make pancakes again. And the table will keep practicing the future. Tuesday starts with sun that looks newly invented and ends with clouds that decide to come watch. The day moves like a metronome with a sense of humor, school drop-off. 3 meetings where adults say synergy like it's edible. A text from Lucy asking if we have enough syrup. We don't. A stop at the corner market for strawberries that smell like July. By 6, the apartment is doing its friendly hum. By 6:58, the doorbell rings. Caroline stands there with that same unperformed presence, hair loose now, sweater the color of Earl Grey, one palm resting on a small paper bag. I brought blueberries, she says. Mrs. Kim downstairs bullied me into taking half. Excellent, I tell her. We accept fruit and benevolent bullying. Lucy darts in front of me with a ceremonial flourish. Welcome to Pancake Club, she announces, pointing to the hand-lettered sign on the fridge. 4 stick figures now. 1 dinosaur, updated with an apron. Caroline puts a hand over her heart, like the sign is a letter addressed to her. I feel extremely official. We cook. The kitchen turns into a soft machine batter, sizzle, plate, berries like confetti. There's a rhythm you get when people decide to be easy with each other. Small jokes at exactly the right height offers to help that actually help. The instinct to leave space and then fill it with something warm. Caroline rinses fruit like it's a way of thinking. Lucy narrates the science of bubbles. When the top is a constellation, you flip it. And I try not to burn a metaphor. At the table, between steam and cinnamon and the honey that keeps changing our lives in tiny ways, the story switch flips. Not the big dramatic version, just the simple one where you take turns. I grew up 2 bus lines from here, Caroline says. Apartment so thin the neighbors sneezed in surround sound. My aunt kept a toolbox on top of the fridge. She'd say, "Stability is a love language." Anytime something wobbled, we fixed it before it got ideas. Lucy chews with the severity of a judge. We have a wobbly chair. He says, "Therese Ressing Milling." He says, "Have 2000 self." Caroline smiles. We'll try a felt pad after dinner. She doesn't drop it like a resume bullet, just a piece of weather in her sky. Started nursing classes in her early 20s. Paused when the hours fought rent. Promised herself she'd keep collecting skills in the meantime. Turns out triage happens in buildings too, she says. You just don't get to bill insurance. Do you miss it? I ask. Some days. She twirls a blueberry in syrup. Then I remember I still like being the person who shows up with the exact right towel. There are 100 tiny emergencies a day that don't make the news. I like being near them. It feels honest. Lucy licks a smear of honey off her finger. Do you get scared? Of spills? Caroline shakes her head. No. Of people not seeing each other? She considers. Sometimes. I tell a piece I don't talk about with people who love polish. The way grief rearranged the furniture inside me and then left me to trip over it in the dark. How Tuesdays started because routine is a rope you can hold when waves forget who you are. How Helen used to leave notes in coat pockets. Buy the good strawberries, you earn them. And how I still find one sometimes in a book we both pretended to be reading. Caroline doesn't reach for a solution. She listens like there's work here too, and her hands know it. She sounds like the kind who knew where the quiet place was, she says softly, and made sure you did too. Lucy slides off her chair and disappears under the dining table. This is where the quiet lives, she declares from the floor, voice echoing against wood. Come see. Caroline looks at me for permission, the way a person does when the rules are simple but they respect them anyway. I nod. She kneels, tucks herself under the table with Lucy, and the two of them confer like conspirators in a better world. From my side of the tablecloth I hear, when the day is too loud, you go under the bridge. And, yes, and also put socks here when they are thinking about bad choices. A beat later, Mr. Chomp is in charge of security. When they climb back out, Caroline's hair is doing something gravity will correct later. She looks at the room like it belongs to her, not by possession but by invitation. There is a difference. The difference feels like oxygen. We wash dishes in a choreography that doesn't require instructions. She dries. I rinse. Lucy is in charge of quality control, which seems to mean adding exactly one more bubble to any plate that looks too grown up. Caroline notices the wobbly chair mid-swipe and pulls a small felt pad from her bag like a magician with a practical gag. Emergency kit, she says, for chairs with feelings. Houted gotten taste for the face. She flips the chair, presses the pad, tests. The wobble disappears. It's the kind of repair that makes a room exhale. Teach me that, I say, and I don't mean felt pads. She hears me anyway. It's mostly noticing, she replies, and deciding to be the person who notices. In the hallway, shoes on, she pauses the way you do when the night is sturdy and you're reluctant to leave the room that helped you build it. Thank you, she says, for the seat at your table. It's yours, I answer, before fear gets its shoes back on. Lucy wobbles her hand like a conductor looking for the downbeat. Caroline, are you coming to the gala? Caroline's smile tilts. We work those nights. We make sure the room remembers it's a room. Can you sit at our table after? Lucy asks, as if adding an after to a gala is a policy choice she can pass. If your dad says yes, Caroline says, eyes flicking to me, not for permission, but for partnership. Yes, I say, because this is a good policy. After, the elevator does its soft shush. Caroline steps in with the paper bag now light. Before the doors close, she lifts a hand. Tell Lucy I'm faster than Spills on Thursdays too. We'll put it on the sign, I say. After she's gone, the apartment holds the shape of her like a room does after a necessary piece of furniture finally arrives. We hang the dish towel. We relocate the Pancake Club sign to a more official spot, the fridge center line, like a small constitution. Lucy adds a rule in her careful handwriting. Be kind in private. Same rules. When she falls asleep on the couch mid-story, Mr. Chomp lodged under her chin like a guard. I sit at the table that has learned our elbows and open my laptop. The gala email blinks. Legacy in action. A neat list of sponsors. A photograph of last year's silent auction, where silence looked expensive. There's a slot for remarks with my name on it, and a suggested theme. Stewardship. I could do the elegant thing, say nothing that hurts, thank everyone by name, exit like a gentleman ghost. Or I could do the useful thing, remind a room of chandeliers that excellence often smells like lemon cleaner and shows up with a ladder when the roof forgets its job. I stare at the cursor until it feels like it's staring back. My phone lights with a text. Caroline, thanks for the Blueberry's new home. Also, the felt pad would like you to know it accepts your gratitude. A photo follows. The wobbly chair, steady, Lucy's sticker on the leg like a medal. I take a picture of the sign and send it back. We amended the Constitution. Strong governance, she replies. You'll make a fine chair. Only if Facilities approves. I send. Facilities, she writes, likes when chairs stop wobbling. The reason to the present of the creasing, and we are present to the life to the devilage of the dry bedeverent of the creasings, and said unto of the grive. He was life to the devilage of the rived and devilage of Starktrus. Have alive live to the passivid well. The wive live to the passivid word. I think of hinges, the ones you don't notice until the door swings differently. The ones that aren't speeches but make speeches possible. The ones that hold bridges where fish sleep. If you're waiting for the night the microphone meets the mop, when a room decides whether it wants to be a room for real people or a room for its own echo, that's next. Power will test any new hinge to see if it squeaks. And I am, unexpectedly, looking forward to the sound it makes when it doesn't. Gala night arrives, dressed like it knows it's being photographed. The gym has become a ballroom by sheer force of rented light. Chandeliers that arrived in crates, tablecloths with opinions, name cards that whisper pedigree. A string quartet warms up at the edge of the basketball court, and someone has wrapped the scoreboard in drape like history shouldn't count points tonight. Lucy, in a navy dress that decides bows are a kind of courage, squeezes my hand as we walk in. Is there a Pancake Club table? There's our table, I say, and tonight we'll make it Pancake Club by decree. Vivian Hart glides over, smile calibrated, a constellation of board members orbiting at just the right radius. Benjamin, she says, air-kissing the room around my face. We so appreciate your remarks later. The theme is stewardship, 2 to 3 minutes. Light but inspiring. We want to leave space for the paddle raise. Light but inspiring, I echo. I'll try not to disappoint the paddles. Her laugh is the sound a glass makes when it agrees to be clinked. Perfect. Across the room, I spot Caroline in the quiet uniform of necessary people. Black polo, black slacks, hair tied back with a no-nonsense band. She's talking with the facilities crew in low, practical tones, mapping exits and cords, the invisible architecture of safety. She catches my eye for half a second present, not asking for anything, and then the night picks her up and sets her in motion. The program begins. Speeches stacked like towers made of gratitude and buzzwords. Legacy, says the chair, and a PowerPoint slide appears with a sepia photo of the school in 1923. Excellence, says a donor whose name is etched on a building and a bench and a tepid fountain. Community, says a teacher who means it without capital letters. Dinner arrives in choreography. Servers pour water, set plates, clear plates. Lucy leans toward me and whispers, "Is it okay if I think the salad tastes like ambition?" Only if you tell me what ambition tastes like, I whisper back. Like leaves that forgot the sun, she says gravely. I lose a battle with a laugh. Then the moment. There's always a moment. A server, young and truly trying, misjudges the distance between tray and table. Time slows on purpose. Water glasses tilt, then release. A long chain of glimmering cylinders collapses into a glissando of spill and shatter. Nobody is hurt, but the sound slices through the quartet's polite Bach like a record scratch. A circle of chilly attention forms around the server, a geometry of blame. Caroline is there in 3 breaths, kneeling first to the server's eye level. You okay? She asks, not touching, just anchoring. He nods, blinking, mortified. She pivots to the floor towel, sweep, a practiced arc that pulls wet inward, keeps the glass centralized, a small moving perimeter of safety. The chair leans into the podium mic with a chuckle meant to be magnanimous. Perhaps, he says, our facilities team could exercise a touch more discretion during program moments. It's tossed like a joke. It lands like a cut. The room titters. The quartet stops pretending to still be playing. The server's face shrinks. Caroline's shoulders square, not angry, just braced against a draft. Lucy's hand tightens on mine. Her whisper is a line we wrote together on a fridge. Be kind now, she says, in front of everyone. I stand. Not dramatically, just enough to be the person the room knows by habit. The mic waits, a small metal judge. Or, I say, voice steady, we could exercise more gratitude. Heads turn because money is talking, and people like to see where it points. I don't raise my voice. I make sure it carries. Discretion is cleaning up quietly so no one slips. I continue. Excellence is the person who keeps us safe while we deliver speeches about values. Stewardship is noticing who makes the room possible and saying the thank you out loud. Silence checks its hair. The quartet lowers bows. Somewhere, a donor decides whether this is charming or inconvenient. I look at the server. You're okay. I say so he can borrow the sentence. Happens on Wednesdays. A small laugh, surprised and welcome, bubbles at the edges. The PE teacher starts to clap, the kind of honest clap that doesn't wait to see who else will join. A few kids, a couple of alumni follow, then the teachers, then the sound becomes a thing with weight. Not the polite applause that means, we're done now, but the kind that tells a room it isn't what it thought a minute ago. Caroline doesn't bow. She doesn't even look up long. She finishes the job, thanks the server, checks the floor with the back of her hand for stray slick, and nods to her crew. The space relaxes its shoulders. Vivienne's smile is flawless again, but a hairline crack of calculation traverses it. She takes the mic back with the grace of a host who refuses to lose the thread. Thank you, Benjamin, she says smoothly. A beautiful reminder. And now our paddle raise for the Willowbrook endowment. Who will start us at 50,000? Paddles lift. The auctioneer's patter slicks the air. Money moves like a current, eager to be seen becoming virtue. I sit. Lucy leans into my side. The incandescent calm kids get when adults say the thing they were hoping the world would say. Between lots I catch sight of a small sign, taped near the koi bridge by the east doors, please, no paper in the pond. Beneath it, in a kid's handwriting that looks suspiciously like creative committee work, fish, don't eat stories. I don't know who posted it. I do. After the paddle storm, the chair returns to the mic with a high-gloss wrap-up about legacy in action. He thanks donors by tier. He thanks the florist, the lighting designer, the caterer. He forgets facilities. I stand again. Not a statement this time. I simply start the clap slow, pointed, impossible to misinterpret, and say, to no one and to everyone. Facilities. The word rings. Teachers pick it up. Students too. The sound gathers and moves like a tide toward the black polo team along the wall. The chair blinks, recovers. Yes, of course, our facilities team, he says, adding it to the record, retroactively. Caroline ducks her head, half amused, half please don't make this a parade. It isn't a parade. It's a correction. On the way out, donors crowd the exits with a benign traffic jam of good wool. People stop me to shake hands, to say well said, to perform agreement. A couple of them mean it. One of them asks for a photo. Another tells me a story about a grandfather who worked nights at a school and would have loved that moment. I store that sentence in a pocket for later. Near the coat check, Vivienne appears like a chandelier turned portable. Thank you for your remarks, she says, tone generous. Spontaneity can be impactful. Impactful, I repeat. Like gravity. Her eyes glint. We do need to be mindful of precedent. Our gala is a fundraising instrument, not a town hall. Sometimes the town shows up, I say, friendly. And sometimes it has a mop. A micro-pause. Then, we'll schedule time to align before next year. Or we'll test hinges as we go, I say. Lucy tugs my sleeve. She has acquired a small paper cup with hot chocolate and a new mission. I need to say thank you to Caroline, she announces. We find Caroline near the loading door, where the air smells like rain and metal and night. Her crew is coiling cables, checking lists, logging a quiet victory. Lucy steps up with all the sincerity 5 can carry. Thank you for catching the spill, she says, and for helping the server, and for the fish sign. Caroline's smile flickers into something bright and unguarded. Team effort, she says. Wouldn't want the fish to get indigestion. Fish don't eat stories, Lucy reports solemnly. Best line of the night, Caroline says. I extend my hand. No speech. Thank you, I say, letting the words be heavy enough. She shakes it. Her grip is work and weather and trust. We kept people dry, she says. Mostly. On the sidewalk, the city has that after-event hush, like the theater emptied but the set still up. We walk toward the car through air that just remembered it rained. Behind us, the gym sheds its borrowed splendor. In front of us, Tuesday waits on a calendar with a crayon crown. In the back seat, Lucy buckles her own belt and arranges Mr. Chomp to face forward like an honorary adult. Daddy, she says, tonight was a good Tuesday even though it's not Tuesday. Agreed, I say, starting the engine. Some rules apply midweek. She watches streetlights slide past the window and then, without ceremony, says, I want Caroline to be our family. There are sentences you prepare for and sentences that arrive like a door swinging on a hinge you didn't know you'd installed. I take a breath long enough to cross a year. I do too, I say. Lucy nods like we have concluded a sensible business transaction. Okay, then ask her. I glance at the road, at the night, at the part of me that used to delay the good because it was polite to sorrow. Soon, I say. Very soon. When we get home, we hang our coats, and because it feels necessary, I tape a new, small sign below the Pancake Club constitution. In messy adult letters, excellence is who keeps us safe while we talk about excellence. Lucy adds a dinosaur sticker that looks like applause. My phone buzzes on the counter. A text from Caroline. Crew says thanks. Also, someone taped a sign by the pond. Consider me delighted. Community effort, I write back. The best kind. See you Tuesday? She sends. See you Tuesday, I reply. Then, before I can talk myself into someday, I add, and maybe stay after for tea? 3 dots. They blink, disappear, return. Tea sounds perfect, she writes. The future doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It touches a shoulder, waits for you to turn. In the quiet that follows gala glitter, our kitchen hums like a small, honest engine. The sign on the fridge winks in the dim. Be kind in public. Be kind in private. Same rules. Tuesday arrives like it knows the way. The afternoon is ordinary in all the right places, Lucy's backpack heavier with library books. The corner market out of our favorite syrup, so we buy the second favorite and call it an experiment, the elevator doing its soft shush as if it understands secrets. I set water for tea before the doorbell rings. Caroline steps in with that unperformed calm. Hair in a simple knot, eyes taking the room's temperature and finding it safe. She holds up a paper bag. Mrs. Kim says these strawberries will fix any meeting that should have been an email. Promotion-grade berries, I say. We accept. Lucy hovers like a small moon. We have new rules. She points to the Pancake Club constitution on the fridge, where 2 lines have been underlined in fresh crayon. Be kind in public. Be kind in private. Same rules. Under that, a smaller note in my handwriting. Excellence is who keeps us safe while we talk about excellence. Caroline reads them like they're a contract she's willing to sign. Solid governance, she says. Facilities approves. We cook with the easy rhythm our Tuesdays learned. Batter, sizzle, flip, when the top becomes a constellation. After dinner, we do the slow choreography of dishwater and jokes. Lucy declares she's setting up tea service, which involves 3 mismatched cups and a coaster that used to be a snowman. Mr. Chomp supervises from the windowsill like a union rep. I make tea the way Helen taught me, which is really just hot water plus attention. The apartment leans into the quiet. This is where I could make a speech, the big movie version with the kneel and the ring and the orchestra. I don't. I've learned the hinge doesn't need a trumpet. Caroline, I say, when Lucy has wandered to the couch with a book and the tea has reached that perfect breath you can see stage. Stay a minute? She sits. We face the table that knows our elbows. I don't stand. I don't pace. I set the words between us like plates we will use together. I don't know the perfect order, I begin, but I know the right people. And I know Tuesday taught me more than any boardroom. Lucy wants you in our family. I do too. I exhale the last of the old habit, where I delay the good because sorrow once asked me to. Would you build a life with us? Not a castle, a table, a bridge for fish, a home where spills are just juice getting adventurous. Caroline doesn't rush to fill the second. She looks around at the sign, the chair with the felt pad, the mug ring we never sanded off because it felt like a stamp we needed. She listens to the room, breathe. She listens to herself. The quiet isn't suspense, it's respect. Yes, she says. It's not loud. It lands like a level finally finding true. The room changes temperature by 1 honest degree. Lucy pops up from the couch like a confetti cannon disguised as a child. I knew it. She barrels into Caroline, then into me, then into both of us together. The way small people insist, the geometry of love, includes them at the exact center. Mr. Chomp falls off the windowsill, uninjured, professionally stoic. We sit on the floor because the floor suddenly seems like the only thing wide enough. Lucy draws 3 stick figures on a napkin, then adds a 4th with a halo of scribbles. That's Mommy, she says. Matter of fact, like cosmology. She helps the fish sleep. Caroline's eyes shine the way light does on water. Hi, Helen, she whispers. Not to replace, not to compete, just to include. I don't have a ring in my pocket. I have a felt pad in the drawer, and a note on the fridge, and a calendar that has been training for this moment with syrup and courage. I pull open the drawer, find the old napkin rings, the tape measure, the screwdriver that used to be a joke. My hands choose a simple band we used to loop around rolled up myths of fancy dinners. It's silly and perfect. I hold it out. Placeholder, I say, until we go choose something that fits our actual lives. She laughs soft, surprised, yes, and slips it on. It looks right because it's honest. We do not call anyone. We do not post. The city outside conducts its own symphony buses, sighing, someone a floor below learning piano, rain, considering an entrance and deciding to wait. Inside, we write the first small terms of our future with a pencil that still has a good eraser. Terms like Tuesdays belong to Pancake Club, Thursdays are for chair triage and reading under bridges, book fairs are holy, Vivienne will be Vivienne, and we will be ourselves. When a room forgets who makes it possible, we will remember out loud. When a spill decides to become famous, we will choose safety over optics and dignity over choreography. A week later, we have a tiny kitchen ceremony that's not a ceremony so much as a declaration. Lucy draws a heart on the calendar and stamps it with a dinosaur. Caroline brings a bouquet that looks like the corner market's best guess at joy. I text Mrs. Alvarez downstairs. We're making a family. She sends up cinnamon butter that could fix any economy. I tell the parent committee I'm happy to sponsor the koi pond filtration upgrade and prefer the plaque say simply, "Thank you, facilities from the people you keep safe." They try to talk me into a Latin motto. I say kindness is already a dead language in some rooms, we'll keep ours alive. At Willowbrook, small shifts become habit. Morning announcements include Maintenance Mondays, where kids thank people who replaced the buzzing light in the science lab or unjammed the kiln door. The sign by the bridge stays up. A second one appears on the west side. Fish don't eat stories. People do. Choose good ones. Vivienne corners me in the hall one afternoon, smiled professionally at ease. "Congratulations," she says, like a truce. Word travels. "Thank you," I say. "We're keeping it small and true." She nods. "Small and true tends to last." "Working on it," I answer. "Also," she adds, lower, almost human. "For what it's worth, my mother cleaned hotel rooms for 30 years. She would have liked your line about excellence." "A beat. Don't quote me." "I won't," I say. and don't. After school, we stop by the koi. Lucy kneels to the edge and whispers something I'm not invited to hear. Caroline squeezes my hand, the way you acknowledge a sacred that doesn't require an audience. The fish drift under the bridge, choosing quiet like an art. At home, the table collects signs of a life that isn't auditioning. Crayon crowns, grocery lists that include strawberries for fixing meetings, a folded acceptance letter to a weekend community nursing course. Caroline decided to revisit one class, one semester, one hinge at a time. I proofread her personal statement, and she proofreads my gala remarks, crossing out any sentence that sounds like I'm trying to sound like anything. We keep what works. We amend what doesn't. We fall asleep some nights to the dishwasher's metronome, others to the reins. We argue about socks. We fix wobbles before they get ideas. We practice the rule that made itself obvious and then permanent. Same kindness, on stage and off. If you need an epilogue, it's this quiet, not small. Years from now, someone will ask Lucy what excellence looked like in her childhood. She will say, a person who showed up with the exact right towel. She will say, a father who learned how to stand next to people instead of in front. She will say, a Tuesday that turned into a life. And if they press for a quote, she'll point to a fridge-wrinkled paper with 4 stick figures and a dinosaur, and read aloud, like a vow, be kind in public, be kind in private, same rules.